There's a major difference between being nice and being weak. There's a major difference between being nice and being weak. I think this is going to be a good conversation because I know we always talk about like the nice guys finish last and nice guys are weak. But lately, I've been hearing people been discussing there's nothing wrong with being nice. So you can be nice, but you don't have to be weak, right? Yeah. Looking at Shannon. Shannon may have to go.
Who told you that? Women?
No, I'm I just always pay attention to what's going on. I'm gonna try to have some lots of stuff to say too. Let me go ahead and play this clip.
With the idea that niceness is somehow a character deficiency. The contention of the conversation has heightened to the measure that it's turned into semantic silliness about kind versus nice and how they differ. Now, if you want to create your own interpretation based on perspective, then of course you'll be able to argue definition. But if you use a dictionary, nice and kind are the same thing. And the argument goes as thus: I don't like nice people because you can manipulate them. I don't like nice people because you can run them over. If that is your description of a nice person, then your assessment is completely inaccurate. That's not a nice person. That's a weak person. A weak person can be manipulated. A weak person can be ran over. All niceness and kindness speak to is consistency of politeness, consistency of chivalry, consistency of courtesy, which is actually a demonstration of strength. If you can maintain your poised, gentlemanly, or ladylike behavior amidst all of the chaos in the society we live in, that is in no way a weak attribute. So whenever I hear somebody say a person is too nice, I always say to myself, this individual doesn't understand love, because the Bible says love is kind and kind is nice. But regardless of the simplicity of that explanation, there are those who will debate it because there is no measure of niceness or kindness that will sober a person that is drunk on toxicity or inebriated on manipulation. If all they know is cruelty, then kindness looks dysfunctional to them. If all they know is nonsense, then niceness is a turnoff. People mistake niceness for weakness, test you, and then find out there's a killer on the other side of this kindness. I had a lady say to me, nice guys always finish last. I looked back at her and said, well, in a relationship with a woman, I thought that was a good thing.
Shoes and food.
Let's go ahead and get it cracking. There's a major difference between being nice and being weak. I'm gonna go ahead and start with you first, Trev. What are your thoughts about that, sir?
All right. Another dude was saying that by denotation that they are the same. Not exactly. There's one key word within nice that's not in kind, right? And that's agreeable. Men generally aren't agreeable. That's what would make you just do things that you don't really want to do sometimes, and easily coaxed or manipulated into doing things that are not necessarily what you would do in a normal situation. So that's the key difference right there. So you have to have that balance, right? And the problem is, depending on who you're with, you could be nice or kind, right? If you were with a person who's actually genuine, who's actually virtuous, it wouldn't matter, right? Because they would take that as you pouring into them and they would reciprocate. However, we have a lot of people who are manipulative. We have a lot of people who are opportunists in today's world. It's always been like that, to be honest. It's just more prevalent. If we discuss it more now, it's more evident. We find out different ways to look for it, but it's pretty much the same thing. So you just have to find a balance as a man to understand when a person is trying to do something that you know you're not comfortable with. And like we discussed last week, we got to talk about the boundaries. If you don't go beyond your boundaries and you let the person know what it is that you're not into and what it is that you won't do, then you won't have these problems, right? Now, women generally will check you. They're going to assess how much they can push you in the beginning, right? We talked about these shit tests that they do. And it's up to you to say, nah, we're not doing that. No, we're not. No, that's a no. And if you don't ever exercise that, then the female is not going to respect you and she's just going to keep pushing. I mean, humans in general will continue to push you until you decide, I'm not going to do that. You have to express that to people sometimes. You need to communicate that. And you can't be worried about what another person is thinking or how they're going to feel if it's going against what it is that you would normally do, right? I have no problem pouring into a person, but not at my expense, right? Whatever I'm doing for you can't hurt me. And that's the type of mentality we should have. We should never take away from ourselves to where we have the short end of the stick, to help somebody else, right? I mean, you understand you could do that with your children, with your partner. You gotta really understand that they would do that for you before you offer that type of a benefit for somebody, before you just put yourself out there and get yourself hurt, right? And that's what happens to nice guys sometimes, and that's why they finish last, because they don't know when to say no. And these women will push you and push you, and once they see that, it's a turnoff, right? And we were taught improperly that we're supposed to do these things for women, and all of that nonsense that we hear growing up. And when we behave like this, we get our feelings hurt, and then we wonder what went wrong and why this asshole is out here winning. That's how it goes, though. You just have to understand your boundaries, and I'll leave it there for now.
All right. We'll go to you, Chicago, brother. What are your thoughts about it, sir?
Yeah, shout out to Trev. I ain't gonna be too long with this one, man. I think I had a conversation not too long ago about Shannon. I don't know if you're the one that always say nice guys don't finish last, nice guys finish. Somebody in the space always says that. Maybe you are, I don't know, but just building on that point, right? The connotation is nice guys are easy, they pushovers, they weak, and I think the distinction really, like the gentleman said in the video, you know, being nice is being chivalrous, you know what I'm saying? Being kind, being a gentleman, you know what I'm saying? Being courteous. And because you display those things in this society, it's the expectation is for the man to always be strong and hard and chiseled and callous. And just because you don't display those things all the time, don't mean you're a pushover. Again, we talk about, you heard the phrase, don't take my kindness for weakness. Why? Because just like he described in the video, there's a lion lurking around the corner. You know what I'm saying? You're going to bring the beast out of somebody. All right. So to me, the major difference really is just when somebody is weak, and I wrote one of the definitions in the back chat. When you speak about somebody being weak, you're talking about somebody that's easily influenced, right? That's a weak individual. That is not necessarily the nice dude. Just because you're nice don't mean you easily influenced or somebody can easily manipulate you. It simply means, and because words mean thing, it just means you're courteous, you're kind, you're chivalrous, you're a gentleman. That's it.
All right. All right, I'm gonna go to you, Marcus. What are your thoughts about it, sir? You're on mute, just so you know.
Yeah, when I was younger, I thought that to always be, you know, more in an abrasive posture and stance was how you exercised manhood, right? And it got me in a lot of situations maintaining that stance. And then as I started to really step into like understanding what true power was and the abilities that I would have to either impose my will or just go with my move however which way I wanted, I began to regress and not want to lead with that. I wanted to come off more friendly, more nice. I did a lot of self-work to get to the point where my intention is to come off non-threatening in any situation at all times. That's, well, not in any, but in most situations. And I could see what he mean when you, because I think it's two different when they make the distinction between nice and kind or nice and weak. I think we all know what he's talking about, because there are people you see and you know you could just take advantage of them right out the gate. If you were so inclined, you could take advantage of them, and those people tend to give off that I'm too nice of a guy, or I won't stand up for myself vibes. And that, I think that's been consistent, that we've always ran into people like that. But if you listen to somebody talk about, like, say, a Mike Tyson, oh, he the nicest guy I've ever met. Or if you listen to them talk about a lot of hitmen from the 80s and 90s, man, he was a nice guy. You would never know. I think that there are two different versions of that. There's a version where somebody is just really meek and weak, and they come off as a nice guy. And then there's the other version where people really understand that they could do a lot of damage to people, and they try not to, and they always want to like lead with, let me be helpful, let me be kind, let me be courteous, let me be respectful, not out of fear, but just out of realizing the power that they have. Dude that was talking, he an excellent wordsmith. That line about nice guys finish last Ain't that what you wanted when it come to women and sex? That was smooth as hell. I just wanted to add that. I don't know who he is, but that shit was smooth to the mug.